With your Tackle HD fishing report for Lake of the Ozarks, here's Jack Uxa.
What's up, everybody? It's Jack Uxa here with your Lake of the Ozarks fishing report. I'm going to be doing this for basically mid-March. Water temperatures kind of depends on where you're at. 43 degrees down by Bagnell Dam. Pretty chilly down there. A lot of the lake is like 46. And there's some areas that are, closer to 50 and even past 50, kind of depending on which weather front we got in, what kind of weather we've had lately. This past weekend we've had a lot of cold weather. Yesterday was a really chilly day, mid 40s. Tomorrow morning it's supposed to be like 27 degrees. So, water temperatures not really going to be rising too much right now, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, there's some big fish biting. More importantly, the lake has dropped a lot lately, and it's dropped a foot since last weekend's Anglers in Action tournament. So that's kind of a big deal. It's sucked a lot of the fish out from the coves, or at least has made it to where they're not comfortable feeding, and I'm catching a lot more of my fish on the main lake here recently. I'm mostly talking about bass. There are some crappie that are feeding too. I'll talk about the crappie first. So the crappie, there's some of them that are on the bank still. You can catch them with a bobber and a jig combination, like so. I did this last week. This is the size of bobber I like. Kind of a small bobber that's maybe 2 inches long. And then this is a little baby shad. And this particular jig head, I put a little pink fingernail polish on just to make it look pretty. Catch more of the female crappie like that, right? And we've been catching some really nice crappie still. It's not as good as it was. Like all February, we were all smashing them. Me and all the locals around here, we all just killed them. I mean, it was probably the best winter we've had in a long, long time. And it's still good, but it's not the same. Live scope's still a big deal for them. Some of them are up on the banks. Some of them have been out just roaming around. Yesterday about half our fish came on a bobber, half of them came on just a straight jig. My bobber setup, I've got 6-pound test on this rod, and this is a little bit bigger rod. I've talked about this before. This is a 6'6" medium action. It's really more of a bass rod, okay? It helps to cast the bobbers better. Personally, I don't like a slip bobber. If I can, unless they're super deep, then I'll go to a slip bobber. But generally speaking, I try to just have a pegged bobber, a small pegged bobber. It just balances real well, and it's more efficient. The strings messing with the slip bobber, for me, it's not worth it. They're too annoying, and there's times I'll go to a slip bobber, but I try not to. And then like half of our fish came from just a straight jig, a 16th ounce jig head. Just kind of old school. This rod's got 4-pound test, and fresh line is very important for that. If it's on there for more than a month or so, it's kind of getting to where it's got some memory to it. You might have to straighten it and pull it real hard, like if you get a snag or something like that. Get some of that memory out of there, and then you're good to go. Or just replace it with some fresh monofilament line. Berkeley, that's Berkeley Trilene XT. It's been around for a long time. 4-pound test and that solar color. It's pretty hard to beat, and it's not very expensive. And, it works good. And once it gets old, if it gets too many coils on it, just put some fresh monofilament on there. It's not like you're replacing fluorocarbon or anything like that. So that'll help you a lot. I haven't really even been using crappie nibbles lately, which normally I'm a big fan of crappie nibbles. Berkeley makes these little things that you put on your jigs, and man, in the summertime and really spring, fall, like I kind of use them all the time, but lately I haven't been using them. It's been pretty good. Yesterday we were fishing in like the rain and mist, and it was a nasty day, but man, we did really good. We caught a lot of crappie, so that was awesome. Kind of towards the mouths of the coves, but not necessarily on the main channel. Docks have not been a factor lately. They will be here soon. Live scope is the biggest thing, honestly, when it comes to the crappie. Love it or hate it, you better get used to it because it's not going anywhere. So crappie fishing's still been good. You know, the weather's been not as nice, but that's kind of part of the reason why the crappie fishing's still been pretty good. If it was sunny and calm, that kind of can make things a little challenging sometimes. So, yeah, it's still been good. I've been fishing the lower end of the lake, anywhere down by the dam or the Gravois arm has been awesome. Shawnee Bend has been really good. Toll Bridge. For a while there, I was fishing the glaze really hardcore, and I'll still go up there because, man, the shad are thick in the lower glaze in particular. There was some dirty water in the glaze, and that's probably why I went down to the Gravois again here most recently, is because, I don't know, something about the dirty water. Like, I don't mind if I'm going to go in there and I'm going to spider rig it, but if I'm just going to be fishing, sometimes I kind of steer away from that dirty water. And the Nianguas, both the big and the little Niangua, are pretty dirty right now. The upper Grand Glaze is dirty. The Gravois is clear, and it's in good shape. And the main lake is clear and in good shape. I haven't been anywhere around Hurricane Deck crappie fishing lately, so I don't know about that. But you know, those arms with the dirty water, soon enough will warm up very fast. As soon as this weather changes and we get back to more of a normal weather front or weather system where things are in the 60s and you get some sunshine, that water temperature is going to go from mid 40s to 50 plus in a hurry, and those fish are going to be really aggressive in those areas. So that switch is going to happen here sooner or later. Lately the water's been falling and it's been cooling down, so those are kind of that's why I've been staying on the lower end of the lake here as of late. Speaking of which, I've been doing a lot of bass fishing down there. The Alabama rig has been great. It's kind of like what I was just talking about with the live scope. Some people love it, love this bait, this Alabama rig. Some people hate it, especially with combination with live scope. Man, you can see, you know, right now I've got them all together, but once I move that forward, it spreads out. I've got some little Berkeley jig heads on these things. These ones have got some chartreuse heads. And just to go over something basic here in Missouri, we're allowed to have 3 hooks on an Alabama rig, okay? I had somebody out here recently, they showed up, they had 5 hooks on their rig. No big deal, you know, we adjusted that. But this one and this one are both dummies. Okay, there's no hook on these things. Depending on what state you're in, you might have to look at your regulations. Some states that are really strict, like Minnesota, it's only 1 hook. So, you know, you can still run an Alabama rig, but the center, you know, you can put it wherever you want it, but most people will put the hooked bait in the center of the, this is a Flash Mob Junior. This is, as far as I know, one of the most popular, you know, Alabama rigs sold. I've got real lightweight jig heads here. These are 1/8 ounce. This is one of the Tackle HD swimmers. I love these things. I go through a lot of them. Kind of playing around with different colors. They're very durable. I don't think this is going to show up on here, but there's some, when you see these things in person, you'll see that there's little hips to these things. And when they designed this, they did an excellent job of just, I'm not doing a very good job here. You can see it a little bit there. There's some little hips to these things, and they just got great action. They don't have as much salt as a lot of other baits, and so they're much more durable. There's some other brands out there, you guys might be buying them. You know, they work great too, but man, they tear up quickly. You know, you could throw these things for all day long and have the same ones you started off with. And hopefully you saw that there. I have a little O-ring on here that I slip over the head before I tie the knot. And you know, right now when I'm just in my garage getting things ready for tomorrow, I'll slide the O-ring down here, and I'll you know, keep it from getting all tangled up. And then when I go fishing, I just slide it up and you're good to go. The other thing, you know, you've heard me talk about a lot is the jerkbait. You know, this is the Fiddlesticks, still working great. These Fiddlesticks are some of the loudest jerkbaits that I know of that are out there. This is the Table Rock Shad color, great for a cloudy day. Or if you're fishing some more stained water, 4.5 inches long, very loud, good casting jerkbait, much better than some other jerkbaits that we used to throw. I've got that on 10-pound test, monofilament, or you could use fluorocarbon too. That works out good too. Man, you got to cover a lot of water though. The fish are feeding. They're roaming around. They're feeding. They're not staying put for very long. So if you find them one spot today, you better catch them, because by tomorrow they're most likely to be moving on to somewhere else that's nearby. Main Lake has been the big deal. Main Lake points, Main Lake pockets, Main Lake rock transitions, all that stuff is a big deal. You have to fish it, and you have to fish it in a certain way to where you're fishing fast enough to where you're covering water, but you're not fishing so fast that the fish aren't catching up to your lure too. You have to give the lure enough time to sit still in their strike zone for the fish to capitalize and eat. If you don't let that bait sit for a little bit, I had some gentlemen out not too long ago that they just were not letting it set at all, and they still caught fish, but they would have caught a lot more if they would have been a little bit more patient, let the bait sit a little bit. Seems like the strike zone is anywhere from there are some fish that are super shallow, but in 1 to 2 feet of water, but most of the fish have been 4 to 12 feet. That's the big thing I want you to remember. They're on all kinds of rocks. I've caught them on pea gravel. I've caught them on big chunk rock. So that's kind of a hard thing to tell you. But Main Lake has been a big deal. Wind has been a big deal. Live scope is always helpful, but it has not been as big of a deal here as of late because the fish are feeding more. They're moving around more. And crankbaits have also been starting to catch fish. Square bills have been catching some fish. This is one of the crankheads in a popular color. A little bit deeper diving than the wiggle warts. Great for this lake because Lake of the Ozarks is a big, deep lake. And if you parallel the bank with one of these things, man, that's already happening, and it's going to continue to happen as we go through the rest of March here. Spinnerbaits are starting to be a bigger deal too. It's kind of been in this limbo area the last couple of weeks where these things are starting, but they're not consistent yet. And that's just those other baits, the jerk bait and the Alabama rig, are my confidence baits. Those are baits I throw all winter long, and now that we're kind of slowly getting into spring, some of the trees are starting to bud up. You're starting to see some flowering trees. Grass is starting to get a little bit green, but it's a slow process. And these fish, they're starting to think about the pre-spawn a little bit, but it's not like you just automatically pull up to a dock that's on a pea gravel point or a pea gravel pocket and catch fish. They're not that close to the spawn yet. They're not really close at all. I mean, I'm catching a lot of my fish on the Main Lake. So, yeah, that's about it, guys. My phone number is 573-434-2570. Good luck fishing, tight lines. Give me a call if you're looking for a fishing guide. I know the next little bit I'm already booked up. Spring break is here, but towards the end of March I've got some openings. So give me a call or text or email. Go to my website, fishinglake.com, and tight lines.